Hey guys, Antredum here, and welcome back to another Minecraft video, and this is the Redstone Experiment Episode 2, and in this episode we are going to be continuing the discussion that we were having from the previous episode where I was trying to bust a myth that TNT cannot blow up obsidian. Well, between that episode and this episode, I have actually come to find out that TNT, no matter what in vanilla Minecraft, no matter how many blocks of TNT you drop onto any given amount of obsidian, will never ever be able to blow it up in vanilla Minecraft, and today I am going to be explaining exactly why that is the case. So there are two main things that I'm going to be talking about that you guys need to understand in order to understand why this ends up happening. One of them is the block resistance of given blocks and the block resistance that TNT can push out onto any given block, and the second thing is just the general properties of TNT. And the first thing that I'm going to cover is the general properties of TNT. So the first thing that you guys really need to know about, well, you don't really need to know about it, but just to kind of get you started, is the fuse length of TNT. And the fuse length of TNT is 80, and what that means is that when I go ahead and I activate the TNT is going to blink 8 times before exploding. And the reason why the fuse length is actually 80 is so that you can get some more precise explosion timing in there. So if I set it off, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. And that will leave a nice little crater in the ground, as TNT typically always does. If TNT doesn't leave a crater in the ground when you blow it up, you either have it in water or you have defective TNT. So yeah, anyways, the second thing that I want you guys to note about TNT is the explosion size of 4 and the explosion radius of 6.9, which is basically just the maximum amount of blocks in any one direction that TNT can actually blow up. And as it meets other blocks, it meets diminishing returns, so it doesn't blow up quite as many blocks when it meets blocks that have block resistances, like grass here, for example. So yeah, and the second thing, like I said, that I wanted you guys to note is the block resistances. Now basically what this is, if you guys check out the link in the description, you guys can get the data on every single block in Minecraft, what their what their blast resistances are. Now basically what blast resistance is the amount of blast that any given block can take before it blows up. So basically the only things that TNT cannot blow up are flowing water, unflowing lava, so it can blow up flowing lava. It can't blow up obsidian, enchantment tables, end portals, end portal frames, or bedrock, because their blast resistances are too high for TNT to reach. Now, the approximate blast resistance that I have found for TNT is 84. That's about the right number that I have found for TNT. Now, the website actually lists it as being 77.67. I did some tests, and I didn't really find that to be quite right given the blast resistances of all the blocks that they had listed. For me, it was closer to about 84. So yeah, what does that mean? Well, TNT, like I said, can push out 84, a blast resistance of 84. So that means when TNT blows up point blank range right next to the block resistance of the block next to it needs to be 84 or less, and the lower it is, the better. So yeah, the fun little fact, the most dense block in Minecraft, the one that has the biggest blast resistance that TNT can blow up, is Endstone, because Endstone has a block resistance data, or a block resistance value of 45. And the next one up is Flowing Water, which is right up there at 500, which is way above the 84 that TNT can actually end up pushing out. Now, you guys might be wondering, well, if you use multiple pieces of TNT, then that 84 is surely to go up, right? Well, that's actually not the case, and that's exactly why TNT can't blow up obsidian. If I type in /redo here, I am going to drop down 35 pieces of TNT, and they are all going to blow up at once. Now, a thing that you guys really need to know about is that the explosion size does not change at all when you have multiple pieces of TNT blowing up. I could have 1,000 pieces of TNT drop onto this one block. The explosion size would still be 4. The only thing that would change is the radius, how far out the explosion actually goes. The more TNT you use, the further out the explosion is going to go, but it's not going to affect exactly what is going to blow up. So you're never going to actually be able to blow up bedrock using billions and billions and billions of pieces of TNT. And actually, fun little fact, the amount of TNT you would actually need is about like Oh god, I actually don't even know. I'll do the calculation at the end of the video. I don't really feel like interrupting what I'm talking about right now. So yeah, so with that out of the way, since the explosion size is always only going to be 4 and the maximum block resistance that TNT is going to be able to push against the block is around 84, it'll never be able to blow up obsidian. So now what I'm going to show you guys is what it actually does take in order to blow up obsidian. So what I have in my inventory here is from the Explosions Plus mod is a hydrogen bomb. So if I go ahead and I set this down in this little hole here, and I use another item in my inventory from the mod called the wrench, and I right click on it, and I may end up doing an official review of this mod sometime in the future, but not right now. But if I right click on this, you see that I am actually able to modify all 3 elements of TNT that I was talking about before. Now the explosion size that is required in order to blow up obsidian is an absolute minimum of about 277.7, and I found that the primary number that I like to use is 280. So something that I want to note is that your explosion size needs to be about 21 times less than the blast resistance of whatever you're trying to blow up. So if you take 280 right here, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to do this in my little calculator. If you take 280 and you multiply that by 21, you get a number just under 6,000. Which is the block resistance or the blast resistance data of obsidian. So again, it kind of varies here and there. There isn't really any profound exact number for this, but 280 is the number that you're going to need. And like I said, it's around the explosion size you're going to need. It's going to need to be around 21 times less than the blast resistance. So a little bit mathy, but if you guys end up, messing around with it yourselves and you do a little bit of studying, you'll find this out. So anyways, the explosion radius of TNT is 6.9, though unfortunately I cannot actually set 6.9 to be my value. It always resets back. So you see if I set it to 8 here and I hit save, it saves. So I'm just going to set it to 7 because that's as close to TNT as I'm going to get. And I'm going to set the fuse length here to be 50. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to start this off with a fairly underpowered explosion in terms of obsidian. I'm going to set the explosion size to be 250. And I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to set this off. And you're going to see the explosion pops out of the top there. Now, just so you guys don't really question, the explosion itself, I'm going to cover the explosion up now, and you're going to see that it is in fact not going to blow up the obsidian because the number 250, when multiplied by 21, is far less than 6,000. So when I go ahead here, I'm going to set down another one, and I'm going to change this number to be 280. Now when I blow this up here, you're going to notice that it's actually gonna blow up quite a few pieces of TNT because the number exceeds the block resistance of obsidian. So that number, when multiplied by 21, exceeds the block resistance of TNT, or at least roughly. The rough idea is that's basically what I'm trying to get at. Even though 280 times 21 doesn't get above 6,000. We're talking rough estimates here, so you just kind of have to keep that in mind here. So again, let me just go ahead and let me do this one more time. So, okay, yeah, here we go. So let me go ahead and let me set down this. I'm going to set this to about 270. Actually, let me set it to 275 because I'm going to get really, really close with this. There we go. And as you can see, it did not blow up any of the obsidian at all. So yeah, so the blast resistance of obsidian is 6,000. The explosion size required to do it is 285 roughly. So now you guys might be wondering, well, what does it take for TNT in order to blow up? Well, the blast resistance data, or the blast resistance of bedrock, is 18 million. Yes, that's right. You heard me right. It's 18 million. So if I divide that number by 21, you're going to get roughly 850,000. 850,742 to be exact. So basically in here, you're going to want to input roughly, to be safe, 900,000 as your explosion size. Now this does absolutely crazy amounts of lag to my computer. Well, it doesn't really lag it so much as the explosion takes a whole hell of a lot of time in order to actually process. So basically what I'm going to be doing here, in order to blow up this bedrock, I am going to set the fuse time to be about 4 times longer, because I'm fearing here. I'm going to set it to be about 4 times longer, and then I am going to set the explosion size to be 1 million. And just to throw that into perspective for you guys, that's 250,000 times more than one single piece of TNT. So yeah, if this was an uncovered explosion, by the way, this would blow up the entire map. It would send an explosion out about 255 million blocks, or at least, or 255,000 blocks, or something like that. I can't remember exactly what the wiki page said, but it will destroy the world if I do not cover up this explosion. But covering up with bedrock just like this is adequate enough in order to prevent any of these other grass blocks from blowing up. So anyways, let me go ahead and let me set it to daytime here again. I'm going to set this beat to be 1 million, and I'm going to set the fuse length to be 250, and we're going to set it off, and we're going to run. Now I'm going to have my F3 menu open here so you can see how much RAM is actually going to be used up. And now I'm going to be cutting the footage, so you guys aren't going to have to sit around for 4 minutes while I wait for this to work. I'm just going to let the video capture until it does its thing. So let's just go ahead and let's do this here. So let me just go ahead and let me swap this out. So I'm going to set this and run. So here we go. We're running. We're going to meet the lag. You're going to see all those numbers freeze in the top left there. They're all going to freeze. And there they go. So I am going to cut the footage to when the TNT actually ends up blowing up the bedrock. Oh, whoa, and there we go. Yeah, apparently from me moving around my view, it kind of shot my view into the air there, but finally we have come back into view here, and as you can see, I'm actually surprised it only blew up one dirt block right there. Like, with the blast that was going through all of this, I'm surprised it didn't just absolutely tear a hole through the ground. But yeah, so as you can see here, it blew up all but 4 pieces of bedrock. So yeah, I hope you guys have enjoyed this sort of like crash course in TNT work about, I guess, whatever you would say. I think I had something clever planned to say for that, but it didn't really come out. So yeah, if you guys have any questions about, you know, or if you guys have any questions or anything like that, be sure to leave them in the comment section down below. If you guys want to try this out for yourselves, be sure to check out the Explosives Plus mod. I'll also leave a description for that, or leave a link for that in the description area down below. But anyways, guys, I hope you all have enjoyed this video anyways, and I hope you guys have enjoyed the crash course in TNT workabouts. Again, I was trying to think of the clever word, didn't quite work. That's just because that's how I am. So anyways, guys, I hope you all have enjoyed this video. My name is Advenom, and I bid you all farewell. Thanks so much for watching.